All right, hello, and thank you guys for joining us today as we do our first on-demand virtual tasting for you. Today we are going to be tasting through all 6 of the newly released estate wines that were either sent straight to your door or you will be picking up in either one of our tasting rooms. So I'm guessing not all of you received all 6 of these delicious wines, so I'm gonna quickly go through the order that we're tasting them through. So if you did maybe get all reds, you can skip through the white section or vice versa, but of course we recommend kind of tuning in for all of it. So today, it looks like we are going to be starting with our brand new 2021 Gruner Veltliner. Then we're gonna go to the Gewürztraminer, the Pinot Blanc, the Barbera Zimbabwe, and we're gonna finish off with the Cabernet. So today we have the lovely winemaker and wine educator, Miss Marta, and she's just really gonna spitfire facts for some questions that I'm gonna ask you guys as we talk through all 6 of these different wines and taste through them. But of course, if you have any questions that we do not answer today in this video, feel free to reach out to our wine club or to me in the tasting rooms, or just go on our website. There will be some more information for you as well. So let's go ahead and get started with the 2021 Gruner Veltliner. And let's start off by just talking about where we grow this at Scheid Vineyards.
So this was 68% of this came from our River Vineyard, and the balance came from Mesa del Rio. Scheid farms roughly about 12 acres of this Gruner.
Okay, so not that much of it. Smells delicious. Where did Gruner originate from?
So Gruner originated in Austria, where it accounts for roughly 1/3 of all the grapes that they produce there. And it only arrived in California in 2003.
Okay, so we've got a bit of a newer grape
right.
for California then, which is pretty cool. So for each one of these wines, we are going to do a fun fact for you guys that you can, I guess, bring to the next dinner table. What's a fun fact about Gruner?
Well, the famed chef Wolfgang Puck thought that his most favorite meal was a classic Austrian Wiener Schnitzel paired with a cold glass of Gruner Veltliner.
All right, so the perfect pairing right there. Okay.
Where's the Wiener Schnitzel?
I know, it's a little early for that here right now. Let's go ahead and talk about the tasting notes that you get and the aromas that you get on this vintage.
So I get a lot of aromas of green pears, some citrus, quince, a little bit of hints of pineapple, some lemon blossoms too. Medium bodied, really nice balanced acidity, and there's really a long lingering tropical fruit finish.
Yeah, that acidity is beautiful. So now that we kind of know what the tasting notes you might get on this are, what would be some food pairing options for everybody watching?
I think shellfish, some sausage, or I might go with Wolfgang and have some schnitzel.
But yeah, I mean, if Wolfgang says it's good, it's probably pretty good.
That's right.
Okay, and for each wine, we're also going to ask about aging. Would you age this wine, or is this a drink now?
So I would probably drink this wine fairly soon, within the next couple of years. I personally prefer wine that's really bright and aromatic, and this has so many beautiful floral and fruit notes. And those are what we call the primary aromas, or what comes from the grapes itself. And the longer you hold a wine, the more those primary fruit aromas start to fade into the background, and other aromas come to the forefront.
Okay, so if you got some Gruner in your shipment, I would say go ahead and drink up now. All right, let's go ahead and move on to the 2021 Gewürztraminer. And we'll pretty much do the same thing. Sorry, I should have worked for you first. We'll do the same thing and talk a little bit about where this grape is planted.
So 64% of this blend comes from our Viento vineyard, and the rest comes from our Scheid vineyards. And we farm roughly 20 acres of this varietal.
Okay, so a little bit more than the Gruner,
right.
Actually almost double. And where did this grape originate from? Because I don't think it's from Monterey.
No, definitely. So Gewürztraminer originated in the northern part of Italy, which is a German-speaking region, and it came from a town called Tremine. And it has been cultivated there since roughly the 11th century. And there the name of the grape was called Traminer. It didn't arrive in California until the late 1800s.
Okay, so it's been around for a while then.
Yep, that's right.
Okay, go ahead, and now it's time to give us that fun fact about Gewürztraminer.
So Gewürz translates as spiced. So it became spiced Traminer, or the spicy grape from Tremine.
All right, so are we getting spicy tasting notes, or what are we getting on the tasting notes then?
I get some lychee, pineapple, a lot of tropical notes, quince, citrus, some honeysuckle as well. It has a little bit of residual sugar, but that's really nicely balanced with the acidity, the really bright fruit, and a long, lingering tropical fruit finish.
Yeah, definitely. For the Gewürztraminer, when people taste this, it has a little bit more of the sweetness. People commonly ask, what would this go for with a food pairing option?
Well, you might laugh, but this could be a really good breakfast or brunch wine for me.
Anybody who has watched our videos know I will not laugh at that, because I am all about breakfast wine. So I take that very seriously, and I will not laugh. Okay, good for breakfast.
Yes, okay. But seriously, this wine would pair really well with something salty, because of that residual sugar, it would pair with some charcuterie, any food that has the fruit dominance, a salad, and it would pair it also especially well with some spicy Asian food.
Okay, that sounds delicious. So from breakfast to takeout dinner.
That's right.
Okay, and again, is this similar to the Gruner? Are we drinking this now, or are we holding on to this?
I personally, again, love the bright, freshness, and I would drink this fairly soon, within the next couple of years. This wine has a lot of acidity, so it will age, but as it ages, it starts to, because of the residual sugar, it starts to develop a little bit more of that honey component.
Okay, so once again, you all have permission, if this is in your shipment, to go ahead and drink now. All right, quick fire here. We are moving on to our last selection for the white wines. This, I believe, is also in the mixed shipment for you guys. And this is the 2021 Pinot Blanc. So why don't you go ahead and just tell us a little bit about this grape in general?
So Pinot Blanc is indigenous to the Burgundy region. It is an old mutation of Pinot Noir, which has a propensity to mutate. And it arrived in California in the late 1800s. And in 2020, there was only a little over 300 acres planted in California. It's often been confused in California anyway, with several other varieties, Chardonnay, Chenin Blanc, as well as Melon de Bourbon.
So with less than 400 acres of this planted in California, we're definitely lucky that we're getting some of this, correct?
That's right.
Okay, time for a fun fact.
So in the late 1700s in Burgundy, a lot of the Pinot Noirs were really light colored, almost rosé. And that was because, like I mentioned, Pinot Noir has a propensity to mutate. So you would have interplanted in the vineyard, you would have a little bit of Pinot Noir, a little bit of Pinot Gris, and a little Pinot Blanc. And so that it would give you a color of kind of a rosé or a light amber or pink, and that was called a partridge eye.
All right, that's a good one. Might have to rewind this to be able to tell that full story, but that's a good one. So for the Gewürztraminer and the Gruner, I don't know if we mentioned it, but that was both done in stainless steel.
Yes.
We said drink now. Talk a little bit about the production for this Pinot Blanc.
So we only made about 300 cases of this. It was 100% fermented in French oak barrels, and 66% of that were new barrels. So you get a lot of that rich oak flavor.
Yeah, definitely. So knowing that this is 100% oaked white, let's go ahead and talk a little bit about the tasting descriptors you would give for this one.
I get some yellow apple, some really ripe pear,
yeah,
stone fruit, and then as well a lot of those beautiful aromas from the barrels, the vanilla, the caramel, the butterscotch.
Yeah, it's absolutely delicious. And this is one that we pour in the tasting room, and people have never even heard of the grape, right? And they're a little bit uncertain about this oaked white, and it tends to be our most popular white on the menu when we pour this. So this one is absolutely fantastic if you can get your hands on it. Let's go ahead, now that we know that it's oaked white and you've talked a little bit about the descriptors, food pairing options.
Well, to me, because it's really soft and balanced and round, and I think something like it just reminds me of comfort food, and so I think of like roast chicken with mashed potatoes or a creamy pasta dish, something like that.
Yeah, with this being released in November, I think it's perfect timing then for those kind of holiday fall weather foods. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, and last question for this one would be, once again, aging. I'm sure this might be a little bit different than the first two in terms of whether or not we should age it.
Because this has been aged in barrels, the barrels have given it a lot of tannin structure, and the longer the barrel it's in the barrel, the longer it ages, it develops more structure, more framework that helps hold the wine together. And as the wine ages, you'll see some of these secondary aromas, which is essentially what the winemaker contributes to the blend. And in this case, it's the lees stirring in the barrels and the barrel aging. And those are secondary aromas, and those will become more prominent as the wine ages. But I think this could easily age 5 or 6 years.
Okay, awesome. That's delicious. Okay, so we have tasted through all 3 of the white wines in the November shipment, and we are going to move on to the reds. However, if you've only got whites, I would say stay tuned in, because we do have some limited production red wines that you might want to get your hands on or just hear a little bit about. Or if you have fast forwarded to this point right now because you didn't want to hear about the whites, welcome back. And we are going to start with the 2021 Barbera. Great. And again, we're going to start with where we grow this.
So this is 100% from our Hames Valley vineyard, which is our most southerly vineyard and also the warmest. And we have about 12 acres planted down there.
Oh, the nose on that is
beautiful color too.
Yeah. This is one of the wines that people are not always very familiar with, the grape itself. So tell us a little bit about where it's from.
So it's indigenous to the Piemonte region in Italy, and it's first planted in California in the late 1880s. And it was widely used by Italian Swiss Colony. And for those of you that don't know, that Italian Swiss Colony used to be the largest winery in California.
Okay, there we go. And if you skip through all the whites we just tasted, we are doing a fun fact for each wine. So go ahead and give us our fun fact for Barbera.
So 94% of all the Barbera grown worldwide is grown in Italy, where it is the 3rd most widely planted black grape variety.
Okay, good to know. So again, another wine that I would say isn't super familiar to California or Monterey, which is, again, cool that we have it. Okay, let's talk about how we aged this Barbera.
So this was aged 42% in Hungarian oak, 32% in French oak, 26% in American oak for 10 months.
Okay, and knowing all that, let's go ahead and talk descriptors on this.
So much red fruit in this. I get a lot of cranberries, some cherries, currants, and then you get that subtle vanilla from the barrels, as well as a really distinct floral note.
I feel like this would be a good Christmas or Thanksgiving candle.
Well, cranberries, it's really medium bodied and it has bright, crisp acidity, which I love, and a really lingering red fruit finish.
Okay, so again, now that we know what the descriptors are on this, what would we pair it with?
I would pair this with any tomato-based dishes, some lamb chops, maybe a pork loin, just because that bright acidity is just going to make those dishes pop.
Or like a little fireplace.
There you go.
Yeah, this is getting me in the festive spirit with these flavors. Okay, and let's talk a little bit about aging. Would we drink this now, or would we want to hold on to it?
Well, so in Italy, Barbera is consumed young, probably because the Nebbiolo and Sangiovese, which are the other two prominent red varieties, are being aged, and you would have to have something to drink. So I too would want to drink this fairly young. I think it's the fruit is just so bright, and it's the crisp acidity. It's just so approachable. I just think this is a lovely wine.
I love it when from the winemaker we get the drink now. You don't need to hold on to this. It's like we have permission. You can open it tonight.
Total permission.
Okay, awesome. We are going to move on to our 2020 Zimbabwe. And this one is 100% Zinfandel grape, which we have not produced since, I believe, 2015. So let's go ahead and talk a little bit about where this comes from.
Well, these grapes come from Lodi region, and this comes from the Harmony Estate Vineyards. But Scheid has 12 acres planted down at San Lucas.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about where Zinfandel originated from.
Well, DNA analysis has confirmed that Zinfandel is actually an old Croatian variety called Tribodrag. And the name Tribodrag is derived from the Greek, which means early ripening. And that kind of mirrors what the Italian name is for this same variety, which is Primitivo, which comes from the Latin word for primus, which means first. And there are actually some bottlings in California where the Zinfandel, or Tribodrag, is bottled as Tribodrag.
Okay. Cheers to Tribodrag, right?
That's right.
Okay. And when did this grape come to California?
Oh, well, it was originally brought to New York and as a hothouse grape, and they wanted to use it as table grapes. But then it arrived in California during the gold rush.
Okay. All right. Came during a good time then.
That's right.
Okay. Marta has been doing our fun facts, but I have a fun fact for you guys on this one. So let me find it so I don't butcher the fun fact here. The fun fact for Zimbabwe is that Al Scheid goes way back with Bob Hartzell, who was able to get Bob to break loose with a few tons of this precious fruit. So while, like Marta mentioned, we do produce our own Zinfandel estate-grown grapes, this Zinfandel is just really a great way to showcase Lodi's personality, and hence the name Zimbabwe. Okay. So in the past, from what I've heard, I wasn't here back in 2015, but this had a bit of a following and sold out very, very quickly. So let's talk production on this and how much we made.
We only made 300 cases, and this one was aged for 18 months in a mix of 63% Hungarian oak, 28% American oak, and 9% French oak.
Okay, let's get to the fun part, talk about aromas and tasting descriptors.
Lots of black fruit in here. Black cherry, plum, blackberry, a little bit of dates with hints of leather and notes of chocolate and vanilla. It's
Yeah,
really
this one
yummy.
has an awesome nose to it. What are you getting on the palate?
It's medium body, soft, really structured tannins, some really rich black fruit, and then you get that really spicy oak finish.
Yeah, and I think what's nice about this one is some people get a little turned off by Zinfandel and they think, oh, it's just going to be so big and heavy and turn my teeth purple and it's too much for me. So this one's nice because, like you said, it has that really nice medium body, so it's not overwhelming and it's really approachable and,
it really is
delicious. And I think the acidity makes it a good food pairing option. So
it does.
What would we pair this with?
Well, I think almost anything that was barbecued would go good with this.
Yeah.
And again, any tomato-based dishes, such as eggplant parmesan or pizza. And then since we're getting into that time of year, I think a nice warm bowl of chili would taste nice with this too.
Get out the crock pot and the Zimbabwe, right? Okay, so with the Barbera, we decided that's going to be, try to drink it a little younger. That's what it's meant for. What about Zinfandel?
So one of the great things about wine is it really changes in the bottle. And initially you get all those bright grape aromas. They're what we call the primary aromas. And then you get the winemaker's hand, the barrels and that sort of thing. And as the wine ages, it develops what we call a tertiary aroma, or what's called bottle bouquet. And I think for most consumers, it's really great because you can kind of decide where you want to drink this or when you want to drink this based on your preferences. Do you like that bright, fresh fruit, or do you like a little bit of bottle bouquet?
Okay, so your range, how long can we hold on to this?
Oh gosh, I would think easily, well, 6-8 years, something like that.
Awesome.
Yeah.
People need numbers, Marta, we got it.
Numbers, okay.
Okay, perfect. That one is delicious. And again, like I said, from what I've heard, it is a bit of a cult following. So you want to get in and purchase now if you didn't already get it, or if you want to stock up. And we are going to finish off with the newest vintage of our Cabernet Sauvignon. So we'll start off with where we planted this.
So Shy farms over 500 acres of Cabernet Sauvignon. And for this blend, 79% comes from San Lucas and 21% comes from Queens.
Okay. And let's talk a little bit about where this grape originated from. I know people are pretty familiar with Cabernet, they've had it, but I don't think they all know where it comes from.
So it's indigenous to the Bordeaux region of France, and it was first documented in California in 1852.
All right, so it's been around a while.
Absolutely.
All these wines just smell delicious. Okay, I will pass back the baton of fun facts to you and go ahead and give us a fun fact about Cabernet.
So Cabernet is the most widely planted wine grape in the world. There's over 840,000 acres planted worldwide and all kinds of different regions, and it's a very adaptable grape.
Okay. So it makes sense that people have heard of it before. It's
right.
Pretty much everywhere. Okay, let's go ahead and talk a little bit about how we aged this.
So this was aged in 86% French oak, 10% American oak, and the balance in 10% Hungarian and the balance in American oak. And it was aged for roughly 18 months.
18 months, okay. Tasting descriptors, aromas?
Aromas, a lot of black fruit in here. It's really loaded. Blackberry, blueberry, plum, some elderberry. I also get hints of tarragon and some notes of vanilla and some mocha. It's really, it's full-bodied, really nice structured tannins, but they're really very well integrated. And you get that sweet oak in the mouth and a really lingering, beautiful black fruit finish.
Yeah, those are pretty good descriptors for this one. Okay, so with that tannin structure and the black fruit and the oak aging on it, let's go ahead and talk about what we would pair this with.
Well, because of the tannins in this wine, this wine would pair well with any food that has a little bit of fat in it, such as a steak or braised short ribs, and it can even stand up to some strong cheeses.
Okay. And lastly, aging.
This wine could definitely age. You have those tannins that are holding this wine together, and not only from the grape skins, but from the barrels as well, and it'll keep it bright for many years. So often when you hear about somebody pulling a wine out from their cellar, that really ancient wine, it's usually something like a Cabernet because they really age until you feel like drinking them.
Okay. So this one, drink now, or if you have the patience, you can hold on to this one and it will just change and evolve over time. Okay, well, that wraps it up for all 6 of the newly released November wines that you guys are receiving. So if any of these were not in your shipment because you got all reds, all whites, a mix, whatnot, definitely check out our website. These are club exclusive for the first 30 days through November. And again, some of these will go very quickly. People tend to buy some of these by the case. And if you have any other questions that we didn't answer, we know this was a spitfire of facts for you guys, give us a call in the tasting rooms, reach out to our wine club. We absolutely love hearing from you guys. And I think that covers it for this one.
That's right.
All
Cheers.
right. Cheers.